We've got a lovely crowd of five, or famous five, I suppose, friendly Hibs on. Jack, you were first on, so you get to pick the topic. What are we starting with tonight?
The Motherwell game for Saturday.
Okay, what were your thoughts on that?
Uh, a bit disappointed in key parts of the game. I'd say there's a lot we could have done better defence wise as well, because there was a lot of missed chances in the game too.
What did you think of the performance overall?
Pretty dire.
Did you?
Yeah, there
A, su-
was
a
quite
surprise?
poor parts in the
Uh-huh.
game as well. So, but it's Motherwell. You could see that they were ready for the game as well.
Mhm. What did
But
you think of?
we're,
What did you think of them?
they're quite a good side, and you can see why. I mean, appointed a very good manager. They've got a good squad.
Did you have a Hibs man of the match?
Kieron Bowie.
Bowie. Okay, what was it about Bowie's performance that you liked?
He's just got that energy about him, he knows how to do a very good performance and he's a very strong player. Somebody you don't want to lose during the January transfer window either.
Hmm. That's a good point that you make. There's a bit of talk about Celtic coming in for Bowie. Do you think we will lose him in the window, Jack?
I hope not, because then if we lose him, who do we go in for?
That's a good point. I just got a message through from my son there saying Hearts are down to 10 men already,
Oh,
which
for
is
God's sake.
that's a good start. Two men sent off in 2 games. The dirty bastards. Anyway, so Jack, go back to
Uh,
Motherwell. So it was fourth versus fifth. Do you think there was much between the teams?
Not really, but we were lucky to keep it 0-0 for the first half. But I say with a couple of the chances that Johan had, I think it could have been 2-0 Hibs if he slotted him home.
And when you've sort of had a chance to look at both the teams, who do you think is going to finish above who in at the end of the season?
I think Hibs can finish above Motherwell if they're lucky. Just see what we can do in the transfer window and see how we progress for the cup on Saturday into the rest of this month.
Okay, well we'll talk a wee bit more about the transfer window in a wee bit. And you passed your 1,000 subscribers on your Jack C99 YouTube channel. Well done.
Yeah, I did.
There's a wee
Yeah, I
goal that you
did
had going
that.
for a wee while. That was brilliant, mate. I was proud of you for it.
Aye, thank you.
Very well done, and encourage folk to go and check it out. Chris, I will bring you in next. What were your thoughts on the Motherwell game? Do you agree with Jack?
In parts, yes. I thought first half we were excellent, very much in control of the game. And probably should have been ahead. Like
Mhm.
we should have put chances away. But again, it's a story of our season. We're just not killing teams when we have that opportunity to really put them to bed. And I just think second half Motherwell Kenny came into it quite a lot. I thought defensively for their goal, I know it's a breakaway, but I'm really getting to start like, getting a bit of concern around Jack Iredale. Like I just feel that he probably was too loose, just didn't close Mastroianni down quick
Uh-huh.
enough. He stood off him and allowed him to get the shot away, which was just poor defending. He needs to engage him. And I just felt after that for a good at least 20 minutes, he just was all over the place. He's passing the ball at the park consistently, like under no real pressure either. It just looked like his head had gone completely, and it's probably not the first time where we've kind of said, certainly against Motherwell, where we've said his head's went.
Mhm.
And I just feel that if I'm looking at it as a coaching staff, I'd be a bit concerned about what we're what we're looking at the moment
Mhm.
with Iredale. The problem is we don't have any options to kind of take him out the firing line for a bit, other than a beater dropping in there, which means we need to play McGrath or Nicky Cadden in there. And that just kind of, again, which we'll probably come on to, was Cadden, I think is another one that just gets rushed back
Yeah.
too quickly, hence injuries. But probably in the balances play, I think a draw was a fair result. I think Motherwell, very organised. The boy just looks a decent player. But the game was there for us to win. I just think now we are just in that battle for kind of fourth place, sort of battle with Motherwell, which I think we should have enough squad depth wise to take that fourth place, because ultimately they've not got a massive squad. Injuries will come to them soon, you would hope. And that's not sure they've got the like for like replacements to come in. So I reckon that we should then really step on the gas. But we could be helped by a couple of players coming in January.
Aye, definitely. Do you think you mentioned that's kind of us in that sort of fight for fourth? Did the draw kill that third place and above for both teams, you think? Or would you think Motherwell are still in the mix?
Nah, I think it's killed it for both. I think you look at the business that Rangers are doing, you would expect him really to push on. They're not losing games at the minute, and they're strengthening pretty well. Celtic have strengthened just by binning that manager,
Yeah.
ultimately. Like, if we're being honest, and then they will. I can't imagine they're going to have another shambolic transfer window. So you'd imagine they'd strengthen. So it just really leaves us in Motherwell kind of battling in. We've had Rangers and Celtic at their weakest in a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and we've pretty much failed to capitalise on it. So I think that's us in that battle for fourth place. So we just need to focus on that, and as I say, a good cup run starting on Saturday.
I think fourth is a terrible season. Do you know, like when you look at if you follow up a third place with a fourth place, you start to kind of get that consistency. Finishing in around those places. Right, just going to catch up on some. I think there's been some action in the games. Looks like St Mirren have had a goal chalked off, which is a bit disappointing. I'll catch up on the YouTube comments and Joe, come and get your thoughts on the Motherwell game. Kenny said, "Hi guys, Scumble's down to 10 already." J Star asked, "Is anyone else annoyed we haven't signed anyone yet?" But we will come on to talk about transfers. J Star. Kenny said, "Hibs put a cryptic tweet out an hour ago than nothing." I think they were referencing. There was a tennis player tweeted about the boy Jordan Smith, who I think I'm putting two and two together because I haven't followed the story, but I think there's a tennis player called Jordan Smith that won
Won
a
£1 million.
tournament. Did he win £1 million in Australia?
$1 million.
Brilliant. And he was like an amateur player or something, was he? That's good on him. So that was the tweet, and so Hibs just replied with a picture of our Jordan Smith. Stephen said, "Sorry I can't join again, lads. We're getting the house ready for a viewing tomorrow, but you're on in the background." We'll give you a wee wave then, Stephen. Thanks for messaging in. And J-Star said, "Iredale's been shocking all season. He needs dropped. A beater there when Nicky left wing back." Rez said, "Iredale has made errors that have resulted in so many goals this season. And can we please talk about Yuan? His performance second half against Motherwell was shocking." And Mark said, "For me, the key factor for the Motherwell game was missing Boyle, Nicky, Karen, and Chaiwa, and the ability to bring them on to make to make a difference," which I think is a really good point. Joe, what did you think of Motherwell on the Motherwell game on Saturday?
I thought it was a good game. It really was a good, entertaining game, and I think the score was about right. How Barras got man of the match, somebody must have been watching a different game for me. Sorry, I just don't get that. Yeah, I do worry about the transfer window. I know we're going to come on and talk about it, but all I'll say is it's not so much who we get. It's if we lose Bowie and Mulligan, as could well happen, season's over. And both of those guys are seriously likely to walk. But I go back to the Motherwell game. Motherwell, very good side. They could have won. We could have won. It was an entertaining game to watch for the neutral, I think. Not that any of us on this podcast are neutral. Hibs need to bring in one or two players. We need to bring in another tall centre forward. But more than anything, the most important thing in this transfer window is we retain our players if all possible.
I think that is really, really important. You thought they might be quite likely to walk, Joe. What's making you think that?
Well, walk would be the wrong, but money talks, And if Hibs get an offer of $6 million or whatever for Kieron Bowie, I think they'd be serious. I mean, that would be 10 times what we paid for him 18 months ago. So they'd be seriously tempted. And we debated this in the previous podcast. I seem to think that Mulligan can get out if he's, if somebody puts in a bid of $1 million, he can go. I don't know where I've got that information from. I could be entirely wrong. Either way, we don't want to lose him. And I think he's been below par from what we've seen in the last 2 days. And I wonder if the conjecture about him is maybe affecting his play at the moment.
It could be. Jeff, I think we're picking up a wee bit of noise from your mic there. If you want to pop yourself on mute for a wee second, please, just until we get to you. Joe, I think the £1 million thing was rumoured a while back, but I think the Observer came out and done the digging and said that there was nothing in it. So, and I have to say, I can't see any way that Hibs would have agreed to, if they were going to put a release clause in, I think it would have been a lot more than £1 million for Mulligan. Chris had mentioned about us sort of being out of the race for top 3 and above. Do you hold the same view, Joe, or do you think we've still got an outside chance of trouble in those places?
I think outside chance. If we beat Falkirk and we beat Rangers, next 2 games, it could turn on a sixpence. We could be up there, but dropping 2 points at home to Motherwell didn't help us at all, that's for sure. But there's still a lot of games to go, Matty.
Mm-hmm. And Rez had mentioned Yuan as well. His performance second half in particular, he said it was shocking. We did see both sides of early Yuan on Saturday.
He was Jekyll and Hyde. The first half I thought he was very good. The second half he was terrible. I've been a fan of Clichy, and why the hell are we not giving him a start? The guys in the Observer I know are up for giving him a start, and I'm in their camp. He's started 3 games and scored in each one. He's coming on as a sub late in the game, and the laddie's not getting a chance. It seems to me like the committee decided to buy him, and our manager isn't being forced to play him because he's the manager. That I could be wrong, but that's what I read between the lines.
Yuan obviously had the game with 2 halves, and a few players looked out on their feet at the end. Do you think a few players struggled with the pace of the game on Saturday, Joe?
Well, it was a week. They had a week's rest before they came into that game. They're professional footballers. There's no reason why they should have got tired. But yeah, they seemed to tire, and I think that was a fair criticism. Mulligan in particular seemed to die the death. And we found out later on that McGrath was subbed because he was toiling anyway, which is fair enough. These things happen. But I don't know. I still think we need another fresh face in midfield. Another striker, another fresh face in midfield with energy. I'm not a Ballister fan, as anyone watching this podcast will know.
We'll come at Ian in a second. Ian, I'm just going to catch up on some of the YouTube comments. So Stephen said, I thought it was very much a game of 2 halves on Saturday. Hibs edged the first, Motherwell the second. A draw was probably fair. Motherwell are a good side, but are very, very cynical when out of possession. And J-Star said Celtic and Rangers will be the top 2. Green Tea said Joe really dislikes Barlaser. He was very good on Saturday. And Rez says totally agree with Joe about man of the match. Couldn't believe it. Mulligan was best player on the pitch. And Green Tea said I think there was illness in the camp. McGrath had the flu. It was definitely looked like a case of McGrath seeing how he got on in the second half and very quickly realising that he wasn't going to see out the game. Ian, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, you're right. That was a classic. Go out for the second half and see how you feel after 5 minutes. So, the main disappointment with Saturday was the complete lack of crowd support. I mean, there was no singing, no chanting whatsoever for pretty much a full house. And, we were really embarrassed once again by the opposition support, and that's, I think, the 3rd time that's happened. So, as I expected, it was a competition between the 2 coaches. And our coaching team actually came out okay. It's unfair to quote Chris, but it really stuck in my head. Sorry, Chris. It really stuck in my head from when he said last weekend at the game. He said, we've got the pace and the power, and he said Paul McGinn and other jobbers, and journeyman players. And I mean, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. We've got better players, Chris said. And Chris thought we would roll them over because we've got the better footballers. But as far as I'm concerned, they're coached better than we are. So in other words, we have got much better players. I would agree with Chris. but our coach does not get the best out of our players, whereas I'm sure that their coaching team gets the best out of their players. And obviously, Mazwanisi is a better striker than anyone we've got. And Justy is a combination, basically, of Mulligan and McGrath, and he's dangerous. So we don't have a player that's like Mazwanisi is dangerous. And obviously, the goal he scored was like Martin Boyle used to score across the goalkeeper in the far corner. I used to do that a couple of years ago, but that was a tremendous finish. And Justy looks really dangerous all the time. But Jens Askew, he's not been coaching much longer than David Gray, but he's 6 years older than David Gray, and I think David Gray's catching him up. But he won 40% of his games with Gothenburg, and he's won 48% so far with Motherwell. Last week, when we talked about it, I wanted us to play defensively, and we did. We cancelled each other out. Mm-hmm. Was marking Barlasa like he did at Fir Park. And when we had the ball, Justy was marking Barlasa, and otherwise, Justy had a free rein. So he had a free rein. He could go anywhere across the pitch. But basically, we stopped Motherwell in the first half, and we dominated in terms of chances. But as Chris and Jack said, we didn't actually take our chances. Mm. So if you remember, last week was our highest, against Killie, was our highest shots to shots on target ratio. 60% of our shots against Killie were on target, whereas less than 30% of our shots against Motherwell were on target, although we had pretty much the same number of shots, 14 versus 15. So a lot less of our shots were actually on target. And that would suggest that, our finishing continues to be a problem. The subs, I think, were far too late. Mulligan, what the hell is the point of subbing Mulligan 87 minutes? He'd been dead for the previous 15 minutes. He really had been dead.
Absolutely.
And Kieron Bowie, after 75 minutes, whereas I just had a look to see what Arsenal did, and basically Arsenal sub 10 minutes before we do. They sub on 64 minutes and 75 minutes in general. So it should, and Arsenal sub on the basis that they've got players on the bench who can actually mitigate the tiredness of the players that are playing. So, and plus, if we sub somebody on 87 minutes, they're not even getting a chance to get acclimatised to the game. So it's unfair to even judge them. But we've got obviously our replacements will be sub on. Have got to be a similar quality. But even if not, when you're replacing tiredness with not tired, it's a good thing. I mean, again, I'm going to pick up all the people that are quoting Iredale as having a bad game. So, as Colin said on, I think it was Sunday, as Colin said on Sunday, he's talking about traitors, and is there evidence to back up the opinion? So, for instance, on Sunday, somebody said, I think Colin was quoting people who said he gave the ball away every time he came forward. Maybe you quoted it and Colin responded to that. And Chris has just said that Iredale passed the ball out the park when he came forward. Now, I didn't have a chance to look back over that. But, is it actually factual? Is it exaggeration? Is it, as Colin said, is it actually evidence to back up their opinion? So, I mean, I enjoyed the game, and I was disappointed with our lack of support. I thought we could have won the game. As usual, our finishing wasn't good enough. But it was a good game, and they're a good team.
The first game between the teams earlier in the season, Ian, was a bit of a Chestnut experience for us. David Gray came in for a lot of criticism after it. Lots of comments about being schooled, etc. Do you think he sort of got some redemption or got some, maybe not revenge, but do you think he gave a better account of himself at the weekend?
Definitely. We were much better coached. We had much better system of play. The way we played out, we had obviously managed to, I'm going to use the word again, mitigate the fact that Barlasa was being marked out of the game. So we managed to, we anticipated what was going to happen. And I think we were, in the first half, as Chris said, we dominated play. And we dominated play because of the coaching of our players, and that's why they were so exhausted, because they literally were closing down very quickly. They were doing everything that Motherwell did against us. So yes, David came out as another learning experience and against Motherwell away, and he really put that into practice. So I was very impressed with the fact that we had learned.
It was interesting that both managers referenced how tired the players were at the end of the game and how much they'd put into the game, because it was like almost a basketball game at the towards the end, wasn't it? It was like kind of you attack, we attack type of approach.
Yeah, and it was interesting. I just watched it today, actually, Warren Hora's interview after the game, where again he was saying the same thing. So he was saying that it was interesting. Actually, Warren Hora's interview actually included pretty much a compliment of Kieron Bowie, saying that Bowie kept running all the time, whereas obviously Bowie basically eventually gets so tired he can't run anymore. But I mean, the point about Ellie, for instance. Ellie, clearly, I mean, you were talking about on Sunday. You don't want to have Ellie tracking back because that's not what he's good at. Well, fair enough, but our game relies on people tracking back. They rely on people pressing, and so when you've got Martin Boyle there, Martin Boyle closes down people very, very quickly, as does George Campbell. And but Ellie doesn't do that. He doesn't do it at all. I'm sorry. I don't think I've ever seen Ellie make a tackle. So if you're taking that away from a player and saying, "Oh, it's okay, you don't have to do it," means somebody else has got to cover for it. I love Ellie. We all love him, but we have to put up with his second half if we're going to have his first half. As soon as you bring in Ellie, and you were talking about it when you were talking about who should we let go, etc., who should we offer a new contract to. Ellie, we cannot play a team game with putting Ellie in. When we put Ellie in the team, we're effectively saying, Ellie, go and do your stuff.
But was that not the same for like Guardiola never asked Messi to track back, and George Best was backing up his right back, and all that kind of thing.
But Ellie's not good enough. Ellie's not good enough to put up with that. That's the trouble. He is great. As far as what he does is concerned, he's great. But he's not that much better than everyone else. And that's the problem. If he genuinely was worth putting in the team, and as the guy said last week when he was standing behind me, get that cunt off, he's like a man down. It's Ellie's not a man down at all. He is. He's like so many people. When I used to coach, we used to have a player, for instance, who was a fantastic player, but he was just up his own arse, and the other boys that I coached, and it was under 17, they loved him. They absolutely loved him because he's skill level, but he didn't pull his weight in the team. He was everything that you were talking about when you were talking about whether to offer people new contracts. That's the trouble. Ellie is not that much better than everyone else that we can put up with somebody that's not playing the team game.
Was it Lappy had the expression? He said like the players around him, they carry the piano when he plays it. But Ellie's no Lappy, for sure. Okay, thanks. I'll come to Jeff in just a second. Jeff, I'll just catch up a couple of YouTube comments while you come off mute. So John McGlynn says, "Evening guys, missed the start due to an absolute monster of a jobby. Better out than in, John. Hope you're feeling better for it now." 1962 Starchild said, "I wouldn't say we have much better players, Ian." And Stephen said, "On the subs, Hoylett for McGrath was the wrong option. I'd have brought on Cleege and dropped Yuan back into the midfield. The change simply allowed Motherwell to get a stranglehold on the game." Jeff, on the point of the subs, do you think that there was a too big a maybe drop in qualities, like a maybe too harsh a way to put it, but the players coming on weren't going to impact the game in the same way as the players coming off? I get Ian's point about the energy levels. Like if you're replacing tired or not tired, that is a good thing as well. But do you think Gray was reluctant to bring on the players until he absolutely had to because we needed the best players on the pitch?
Yeah, we didn't have a like for like for Mulligan. That was the problem. Barlas could be replaced by Newell or Levitt, really, for the role he was playing. And I thought Dan had a decent game, Yeah, it was a problem for Gray. We didn't have Chaiwa. Chaiwa would have a difference on that bench. A fit Chaiwa coming on, you got the legs there. He gets stuck in. He's got that extra sort of elongated leg. That 6 inch just nicks the ball off people and gets it past. Yeah. So we missed him. What was the other question, Matty? So was his hamstrung? Yeah, he was a little bit because of the bench. McGrath being ill is obviously a sickness bug going around because. I mean, Mulligan put a shift in the first half, a proper shift. And so did the boy Just. And we're going on about Mulligan being knackered. Just was fucked.
Aye,
I was watching both of them. When they were breaking, he was on his 18-yard line, his own 18-yard line, jogging. He couldn't keep up. And Mulligan was the same. They'd run each other into the ground, basically. Maybe in different parts of the pitch.
Yeah.
But I think he could have taken Mulligan off. Me and my brother were saying about at least 10 minutes before he was taken off, he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And he was making bad decisions. He was overrunning the ball. He was passing it when he shouldn't pass it, and not even making a good pass.
Yeah,
he was absolutely buggered. Now, whether he's got a touch of the sickness bug or not, because it's unusual for him to be totally spent within, that would be about 70 minutes onwards. We noticed it. So yeah, it was a shame. The subs coming on when they did, it's hard to impact a game like that. It was like basketball, end to end. So yeah.
And what did you think of the performance overall?
Yeah, we're good. Two good teams. We've no divine right just because of Motherwell to steamroller them. I wasn't so concerned after the first game at Fir Park because everything that could go wrong that night for Hibs went wrong. And when we're down to 10 men, we still could have made it 2-1. And the second half, we kept them at sort of at arm's length without troubling them, but we just kept the score down. So they play a lot of nice football. They do. A lot of it's in front of you, and eventually it's down to an individual will make a chance for themselves as opposed to opening us up. Now, Iredale for the goal, I think because he was done by, I think Masvanisi did him in the first half, just through sheer pace on the edge of the box. And I think that's what made his decision about just give him that extra yard, which gave Masvanisi the chance to up the shot. So yeah, it was a shame for Iredale. I mean, I understand when you're up against that amount of pace, you do tend to just either get really tight so they can't turn, or you give them that yard. And unfortunately, give them the yard in the wrong part of the pitch. He should have got closer, or somebody should have given him a hand.
It was I found because you didn't usually see Iredale let a player get a shot away like that without an attempt to block it, but I don't know if he just misjudged where he was on the pitch, or like you say, whether he was giving him that wee bit extra space to try and just show him into the corner a bit. But
I think Iredale's main thought was he's done me already in exactly the same position virtually. I can't afford to let him do me again, and I think he was more worried about that and was surprised by the shot, as was Salinger a wee bit. I'm not blaming the goalie for the goal. It was a cracking hit across him. It would need to be the save of the century, which I'm sure we'll come on to later. Hopefully not.
I think we're going to get news updates if fucking Craig Gordon saves a tenner in Tesco. Like, it's bloody ridiculous.
First half we were good. I watched the highlights before I came on when I was having my tea, and we had lots of situations where we possibly could have done better and made a better chance. A couple of times Bowie nearly got his head on stuff. He took one off Megwa's head just before they scored. Jordan Obita crossed it first half. It was just behind Bowie where he wanted it. Bowie made a fantastic run across the defender, a bit like Dwight Gale. Tiny, and the ball was just behind him. So we had lots of good situations, played some good football, and Motherwell are a good side. And my mate, the ex-pro, I won't mention his name. He was on the far side of the ground. He was very impressed with Just. Said he's a player. For what he does, he's got to fit in a certain system. But yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I was impressed with him as well. Jay Starrett said we'd love us to get Just in the comments. Chris, so you had your hand up there. I'll get your point and I'll come back to you, Jeff.
Okay.
It was just a very quick point. I think it's a very good point that somebody made in the chat regarding the changes, especially the McGrath change. I think part of the problem with the second half was we brought on Hoylett, who just can't press. He doesn't have the legs now to chase people down. So I'm totally forgetting. Molotnikov was on the bench at the weekend.
It was.
I don't understand why we're not using Molotnikov. Like that's I probably didn't get why we didn't bring Rudy on, who's got more legs, a bit of youth about him, who could have actually kept up that press, as opposed to bringing on Hoylett, who, as I say, just cannot run. And that allowed Motherwell to get out easier. Whereas in the first half, which has been mentioned, we pressed the life out of them. When we pressed them, they didn't know what to do. Hence why we got so much control in the game. taking McGrath out and putting in a guy who can't run just allowed Motherwell that easy pass out.
Yeah.
It's just
I think Chris is right. If you look at, if we'd had Boyle, Chaiwa, who else am I missing? Another sub.
Rocky,
Campbell.
Yeah.
Rocky's defence. But those three coming on to replace, Boyle coming on up front maybe, or Chaiwa to replace McGrath, whatever. You've instantly got a better press, because at the moment, Ellie, who doesn't press very well. He does try. He's not totally just standing there, but he doesn't press properly, and he presses at the wrong time. But when you've got him and you've got Hoylett, whose legs have gone, I've watched him this season, and he's a shadow of the player he was last season. But he's still got the class, and he'll still chip in with the odd goal and assist. But if you're up against a team that needs pressing, then having those two on virtually the same side of the pitch, I think, I can't remember. But yeah, it let Motherwell out a lot easier and made our task a lot more difficult.
Hoylett's contract's up in the summer, Jeff. Would you be renewing it?
No.
Is that quite an easy decision for you that you were
certain? If we could get somebody in now and release him now, I'd let him go now. Right. I was all for him in the summer. I thought it's great. He's good. He's obviously great in the dressing room. He's passing on his experience. But we need it on the pitch. And when he's come on, last 20 minutes as a sub, he's not been too bad. 2 goals against Livy, the odd cameo. But I think you've alluded, or somebody on the podcast alluded to it, it's like his boots are on the wrong feet a lot of the time. He really, and I watched him, I can't remember if it was Killy or one of the games he came on, and he gave the boy about 10 yards, and the boy beat him to the ball. It was embarrassing. And he wasn't one of their speedsters. I think it might have been Killy. It was just like, he's, class and skill can only get you so far at that age, and it's time for him maybe to take a back seat. And I'm sorry, I love Junior. He's a great guy, but I think he'll struggle to get to the World Cup.
Anybody on the call, would anybody be tempted to renew Junior's contract for next season?
No, he's got to go.
I think personally he'll see the World Cup and then retire. I think the only reason he's probably stayed on this year is because of the World Cup, if I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah, you're probably right. Right, John McGlynn has said, I'm sure you will get onto it later, but Bowie, if he does, and it's 5 million or above, who would be on your shopping list? So, Jeff, I'll stick with you just now, and then I'll come to you, Jack, next for your thoughts. But what have you made of Kieron Bowie's time at Hibs, and is he a £5 million plus player?
Well, the silly money that's going about and his potential, yeah, he's 5 million. If they want, a player's worth what people are willing to pay. So if we can extract 5 million out of someone, he's worth 5 million. I think the player himself, and again, somebody might have mentioned on your podcast or another one, I can't remember who I listened to, that if he's got serious expectations about going to the World Cup, then I think the only way he's going to do that is either stay with Hibs and become our top goal scorer and make himself virtually, it would be very hard not to take him to the World Cup. Or by some chance he goes to Celtic or Rangers and becomes a regular, and he gets the Rangers or Celtic tax about you're instantly into the Scotland squad. But that's a big risk he's going to take, and he can get the move at the end of the season. I know they're both struggling and want strikers, but there'll be somebody else if he has such a good season. Then yeah, it's a risk for the player and the manager. It could be the big move that absolutely makes him for life. I'm sure he's on good money at Hibs, compared to what But it's a difficult one. Money talks. If he's had his head turned and convince himself he can be the starting number 9 or one of the first choice number 9s for Celtic or Rangers, then it's a chance. But I don't think he's ready to go. I think he needs to develop a bit more. He's playing a new role in a new team, just back from a couple of long-term injuries. But the club might look at it, 5 million for what, 700 we paid for him in a year and a half. That's that takes a bit of bollocks to turn down. Bearing in mind we might struggle to get Europe next year at the moment. You never know.
Do we undersell players in Scotland? Like if you think what 5 million would you get if you were buying from Norwich or somebody like 5? I mean, I get we got Bowie from Fulham. For 700,000. So I don't know how much my point stands up, but 5 million doesn't get you very much if you were buying in the English market, should we be looking to dig our heels in for more money?
Yeah, unless we absolutely need the money. We're about to go into administration or something like Sheffield Wednesday, whatever, or they are in administration. Dig your heels in. You know, that by keeping Bowie, that might secure us third place or above. You know, I think we'll struggle to get third the way the old firm are recruiting and getting their act together, and I hate to say it, we might just be too far behind them. But you never know. If they blow up and we end up getting third ahead of them, that'll just make my fucking season. Just I won't stop grinning. So the point about Bowie, was it Bowie we're on about? Yeah,
yes.
We do undersell. Look at John McGinn. Aston Villa cannot believe what they got him for.
Aye.
I mean, they're still gone about it. The best buy in Premier League history for what they paid for him. Well, but that was a transfer the deadline one, wasn't it? Celtic might be. I can't remember the exact chronology of it, but yeah, we do. If the bottom line is because of our league and the lack of TV money, we undersell our players. We undersell without a doubt.
John McEwen said after his performance at Kilmarnock, when he drove forward well, I would have liked to see Molotnikov rather than Hoylett for McGrath. And for £5 million plus, I would drive him along the M8 myself, although I hope he stays this season. Jack, what do you think of Kieron Bowie? How do you find him as a player?
Oh, he's a really good player since we signed him. Like, he's scored a lot of goals and he's been really strong. Scored his first Edinburgh Derby goal this season, which was a good goal as well. I don't want him to go to the Old Firm. My dad's mates have even said that as well, because he goes to the Old Firm, your worry will be he'll score against you, and then you don't want that, really.
No, definitely no. And do you think he's still got room to grow as a player at Hibs?
Yeah, I think if he stays at Hibs, he'll get game time. He goes to Celtic, I think he'll be a bench warmer like the previous Hibs players that have went there in the past.
It's an interesting thing, because I think players always back themselves. They look at the previous transfers and think that'll not happen to me. But he's probably better to be a big fish in a small pond rather than a small fish in a big pond, isn't he?
Yeah, because if he stays at Hibs, he'll get the game time and it'll give him time to adjust and get a stronger player as well ahead of the World Cup. Might get the call up, hopefully, which is what you want.
And would you put Bowie in the Scotland squad ahead of somebody like Lawrence Shankland, for example?
I'd say Bowie over Shankland, yes.
Yep, it's a good answer. Chris, I'll come to you next. What are your thoughts on the Bowie situation?
It's probably two part. If I'm talking Kieron Bowie, the player, he infuriates me sometimes. He infuriates me because I think there's so much more in him. And I think he needs to probably show up more.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you look back at some of the chances he's missed this season for a number 9, it's criminal, like really criminal. And I know we just mentioned the fat guy there, but some of the chances that Bowie's missed, he puts them away. And that's probably cost us this season, probably 6 or 7 points, some of the chances he's missed. When you think some of the headers and like that are 2 or 3 yards out, then I start to reflect and go, he hasn't really played number 9 a lot. Like, my understanding was when he was at Wraith and when he's played down, when he went on loan down south, he played off the left hand side.
He did.
So he is learning that position still, I suppose. Which would tell you even then, if he's been played off the left, he's not a natural finisher. He's not a penalty box striker, which we kind of want him to play at the minute. Then when it comes to transfer, I don't think he moves. I think if he's smart about it, he realises, as Colin had said previously, he's had that big move. It's not really worked for him. He's come back up the road. He's building himself a reputation. See, in a year's time, he's learnt the position a bit better. And he's probably scored a lot more goals. I think he will go to the World Cup. Again, that'll push him on. Like, that'll push his value up for the club. And he probably moves in maybe a year's time. It won't be fucking Rangers or Celtic, though. I can guarantee you that. And I don't care what the fucking media say about it, because I'm fed up with them gaslighting us with this pish that they keep banging on, that they're basically just going and saying, if Celtic turn up, we'll take them. And it's their fans, the fans in the media, the written media, who continually spout this nonsense as well. And then now you've got people like Marvin Bartley on fucking Clyde FM banging on saying, oh, I'm a Hibs fan, but Kieron Bowie will absolutely move to Celtic. who take that move. And I'm like, fucking be quiet. Like, literally be quiet. You're the one person in the media who's meant to have a sort of Hibs bias, and you're absolutely touting our best players away to the Old Firm. It's absolute nonsense, eh? So Kieron Bowie will not be going anywhere unless it costs a lot of money. And all this nonsense for the media and Celtic fans that basically they'll offer 1 million or 2 million or 3 million and think Hibs are going to accept it. The days are gone now.
Mm-hmm. I think with the money down in England, Rangers and Celtic are now the draw that they once were. So I think that they're obviously still, I think any player in Scotland, if you give them the chance to get 4 or 5 times their wages, right, which it will be for some of the players, they're like, I reckon many folk that would knock that back, like in any profession, they're going. So I get what Marvin Bartley was saying with it, but I don't think if you're looking at Celtic offering you 20 grand a week, you get that at the Championship in England, no bother. If you go to a Premiership team, it's 40, 50 grand upwards as a sort of like for a basic squad player. So the rewards on offer if you can get a good move outside of Scotland are much greater than just settling for Rangers and Celtic now.
And do you know what? I don't think if you go to Rangers or Celtic, they're not going to be offering you 20 grand a week off the bat. You're probably looking at 10 to 12, I would imagine. Go and play in Italy. Go and play in France. Go and play in Germany. You'll get that money.
Yep.
You'll get that money in a good league, a better league actually, let's be honest. And you probably have more success. You look at the players that have moved, there's very few of them, these Scottish players that have moved abroad, especially Italy in recent times, that have been failures.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that has to come into the thinking.
Yeah, Joe.
Can I change the narrative slightly? With Kieron Bowie, the conversation to death. If we get offered 5 million or more, we'll take it and he'll go. Hopefully that doesn't happen. We all want him to stay. What I would like is to see us. We've paid over $1 million for Klidgey. I'd like to see him get a run in the team. He's our player. You know, we've got him on a 3-year contract or something, and he's not really had a proper kick at the ball, in my view. That's what I think the narrative should go. Sure, we're in the transfer window. Sure, there's going to be lots of conjecture. We need another tall striker to come in. Whether Bowie stays or goes, we need another tall striker to come in this transfer window. That's the top of the list, in my view. Mm-hmm. But other than that, if we can retain our players, and I include Mulligan in this, we're doing no bad.
Do you think there's a change in thinking of Hibs these days? So, like, I mean, Ian Gordon, the Gordon family have ambition for Hibs that we haven't seen owners have, probably in my life for as long as I can remember watching Hibs. Right, like, I can't really remember us having that ambition. Like before the Gordons came in, mm-hmm. Like I go back to probably like Steve Archibald coming in. Mm-hmm. It was like the biggest signing I can remember. I know, like you go back mm-hmm. further, you got George Best who I mentioned earlier, but I mean that was before my time. So I think Steve Archibald was a huge signing. Mm-hmm. We had sort of ambitions to do things. And then we had that whole era with Tom Farmer running the club where it was the mantra was we'll spend a pound less than we take in. And it was all about that sustainability, making sure we're, not putting ourselves in financial trouble. There was loads of cost cutting all the time. And now we have owners who they want to see us get to Europe all the time, and they want us to win trophies. Are they more likely to say Bowie's a big part of our chances of success? We're not interested in year 5 and we don't need it now, so we could turn down 5 million.
I think it came from the Godfather film. I'll give you an offer you can't refuse. I think if Hibs gets offered 6 million or more, we'll take it. The odds are. Mm-hmm. And the whole is a sum of the parts. I think we need to be talking about we certainly need cover for Bowie. We need another tall striker. We didn't get Lyndon Dykes. We need to get somebody else in the next 2 weeks in.
Agreed.
Definitely.
Rez said, shouldn't we be thinking differently about selling our best players to the big 2? They gouge the best players in the league and say it's best for the players because they're more successful clubs. Well, of course they are. They bought all our best players. J-Star said, shouldn't be selling him to the Old Firm, not when other clubs won't want him. Really fear he goes to the Old Firm though. And do we think Celtic and Rangers wanting him will affect his performances for us? Green Tea said, well said, Chris. And Jay Star says, surely we don't sell Bowie when we haven't got someone like him. Ian, what are your thoughts on that?
What you just described is a strategy. So now, if we had a strategy, if the club had a strategy about this, that'd be fine. So I don't know what our strategy is. I must agree with pretty much what Jack and Chris both said. Kieron Bowie's not good enough yet. He's simply not good enough. He's not good enough to be our sole striker, and he's certainly not as good as Maswanisi, and he's certainly not as good as Lawrence Shanklin. Now, can he be as good as them? Yes, he can. And how did players get better? And I'm sounding like a broken record here, but we need to coach him. And I don't know who our striker coach is. I don't know who we brought in. We've definitely got a problem because he's not finishing in the way that he should, and he's not well developed enough in terms of his skills, his positioning. I really like him, and I want him to stay. But we certainly shouldn't sell him. That'd be complete nonsense for us to sell him. And obviously, if we were, as Jeff said, if we were going out of business, if we were struggling financially, but if we're not struggling financially, we shouldn't sell him. And we should make it clear to him that his best opportunity for development is with Hibs. But that said, we have to say how we're going to help him develop. So that is the coaching team have to say, this is how we're going to develop you. He should know that. Even when I was coaching, I had individual development plans for each player. So Kieron Bowie should know what he's trying to improve on at the moment. He should have his own targets, as Chris said. He should be trying to improve as an individual. But equally, the club should be saying, this is how we're going to coach you by bringing in this person to coach you, by bringing in this mentor. I know I repeat this all the time, but he can be a lot better, but he just needs coached. There's no need for us to sell any players unless we're struggling financially, and we should just tell them to fuck off.
I do believe, Ian, that Kieron Bowie has, I'll try and dig out the interview, but I think he has referenced specific coaching that he's had to improve as a striker this season. Almost exactly as you described it. I didn't necessarily say who was providing that coaching, right? Presumably he's been speaking to Gray, but
but Matty, that's the point. He's got to have one-on-one coaching. He's got to know that somebody who he respects as a striker, right, is teaching him these skills. He can't just. I mean, I used to read out of books. I used to read Franz Beckenbauer's book and then try and apply that to my coaching. But if you've had Mixie Patlainen or Kenny Miller or somebody like that, even somebody like Tam McManus or somebody like that, because no, everybody went on. Everyone went on about Kieron Bowie's goal against Partizan. But I mean, Tam McManus did the same thing. But I mean, we've got to have somebody who's a really proven striker, somebody who's done it in the past. And if we can bring that in as a mentor and on the mentor basis, as opposed to an individual coach, then fair enough. But the club have to say to Kieron, this is your opportunity to develop here, and this is how we're going to help you, and that will make him decide to stay with us.
See the article, Matty, you were talking about. I think that was Bowie talking about training with Rocky and Hanley and how they were coaching them and what they've experienced at international football level.
I think there was more to that as well. So Jay Star said Bowie had said in an interview he watches his game back and watches if he was in the right place, etc. I will try and dig it out. Like I tend to try and pay attention. He's one of the few things in life that I pay attention to. Is like wee nuggets of information like that I hold because I find it dead interesting. So I will try and dig it out. And Green Tea said, "How does Ian know that he isn't getting coaching?" Of course,
because he doesn't do the right things. He doesn't go at the right place. He's always either in front of the ball or behind the ball. He's in the wrong place. So he just needs coaching. He just gets developed. So I mean, it's clear that he's not developed his skills yet, and the way to do that is coaching.
Right, I'm going to stay with you. Just we've got just about 5 minutes left, and we're just over. So we'll look ahead to the Scottish Cup on Saturday. We played on Fairland, but just a wee bit of breaking news that might cheer people up. I don't know if it might not. People might be kinder than I am, but John Beaton's gone off injured in the Celtic game. He's been
replaced by former Hibs goalie Sean Murdoch.
Sean Murdoch. There you go. Best wishes, John Beaton. Get well soon. Just probably no time for the next game that you're refereeing is. Although, if the alternative is the boy that we had on Saturday, I'd rather have beaten. The boy that we had on Saturday was dreadful. I mean, I've not talked about his performance, but my word, how does that guy get off like games?
Worst a lot.
Awful.
He's awful.
I'm sure I read a stat that he's had the most corrections from VAR.
And I think season. I'm pretty sure that It's Kilmarnock and St Mirren all the time.
Is
He
it?
hammers them all the time.
And us. Although he
Yeah,
wasn't, I didn't think he was biased on Saturday, so he was shite. Anyway, right, Ian, Dunfermline on Saturday, a trip to see Neil Lennon face up against his old team. How's it going to go?
I've always felt Neil Lennon was a complete wanker. I don't like his style of management. I think he's crap. I no doubt at all in my mind what we should do. Everyone that's not been getting playing time should be starting. So Jordan Smith should be starting all the way through. Rudy should be starting. Obviously Rocky should come in. So everyone who's not been getting playing time should be playing. Obviously it's a risk, but we'll have the others on the bench. So I think we're good enough to beat Dunfermline with the people who've been sitting on the bench.
It's a bold strategy. You don't remember Celtic Hearts like that last season?
Vividly, I was there beside other John. I was standing beside other John.
All right enough, you were behind the goals, weren't you? I think I saw you from the side on. Yeah,
we burst out laughing when the ex-Hearts player scored. Yeah.
Aye, right. Fair enough. Right. So you would change half the team if something we're good enough to beat them. I'll come back to you for a score prediction. So you think about that, Jeff. I'll come to you next. How do you think it's going to
go? I wouldn't change half the team. Scottish Cup's the only viable thing we've got left to win, and you don't take chances. Dunfermline will be fired up, but they're not setting the heather on fire in the First Division or Championship, whatever it's called. So I would, do they play on plastic at Dunfermline?
No, not anymore.
They've got grass.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. And I'm just worried about if you're thinking about bringing Nicky Cadden back on plastic or Martin Boyle. I would certainly not trust it. But yeah, maybe a chance to give a few of the players. I'd like to see Rudy get a run. Maybe give Grant Hanley a rest, put Rocky back in, give him a run. But yeah, I wouldn't change too much until we're a few goals up, and then mass changes at half time or 60 minutes in, get everybody on that's not had a game. And by the way, just on beating, the Ramones have a great song, Beat on the Cunt. Beat on the cunt. It's not the exact words, but fuck it makes me laugh.
Fair enough.
And it's spot on.
I said confidently that Dunfermline have a grass pitch. I'm 99% sure, but as soon as I said it confidently, I was like, oh, maybe they do still have an artificial. They definitely don't have. Do you remember for a while they had like green carpet tiles down?
Oh,
and it was like it was like playing on coloured and concrete.
Aye.
I think it's definitely a better surface than it was back then.
It's a better surface. And just going back to Celtic Hearts, I've still got a picture somewhere on my phone of you and someone else who can't be mentioned anymore.
Aye. Right, Joe, what about you? How do you think it's going to go?
I think Hibs will win comfortably, whatever the team they put out. I think we'll win 3 or 4-1 probably. I would only make 2 changes. I would drop early and bring in Quidgy. And I would drop Barlaser and bring back Dylan Lev.
Okay. Jack, same question to you. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I think we can win comfortably on Saturday, and I think we'll just stick with Eli Johan and Quidgy up front.
You drop Bowie for it, would you?
Well, I think looking at pace as well, give Quidgy a chance to test the Dunfermline defence a bit.
Okay, Here
we go. Yes, Dunfermline Athletic play on a synthetic turf plastic pitch at their home ground.
Do they?
So Google tells me.
No, it's grass at East End Park now. Yeah, it is grass, definitely.
Is it
last I remember I was there. When I was there last year, it was grass.
After this, I'll head along. It's walking distance for the house, so I'll go along and sneak in
over the gates.
I'll report back. Just quickly before I come to you, Chris, to find out your thoughts on it. Crookie said, my mate who played for East Fife a good few years back while under Gary Naismith as manager, he brought in John Robertson to do shooting drills for the team in a training session. And J-Star said that Andrew Todd could cause us issues. He's got quite a good write-up this season. Andrew Todd playing some good stuff for Dunfermline. Chris, how do you see it going?
Do you know what? I was very confident we would just go there and steamroller them. And then I looked at our record against Dunfermline in the Cup, and it's fucking abysmal. Like, really bad. And I was like, oh, dinny. So I'm like kind of hoping like we maybe get like effigies like Florian Camberry and that out to like haunt Neil Lennon before we turn up. Do you know what I mean? And then, but I think team-wise, I think we make a couple of changes here or there. I think that I wouldn't be bringing. I'd put them on the bench, maybe Cadden and Boyle, but I wouldn't bring them back into the starting lineup. I don't think there's any point in risking them unless we really need them. I'd probably bring Cleege in for Ewan. Keep on partner with Bowie. And if I'm going to be honest, I think it'll be first change for me would be Molotnikov. It wouldn't be. I think we'd still keep the standard midfield, but if I'm looking to change it, it'd be Molotnikov. Other than that, keep it as is and just go there. Dispatch of the Fifers, your neighbours, Matty. Which, by the way,
Neighbours.
You talking about going up to East End Park tonight just to see. It reminds me of that episode of Porridge when he jumps into Elland Road and digs up the centre circle. But no, I think we should just go there and dispatch them. Like the telly and that, as you know, the telly are turning up thinking that we're going to get turned over. So let's go there, put on a show, put 3 or 4 by them, and enjoy our Saturday afternoon.
Gray's used that to an advantage a few times. Even the Cannons have come to a cup game and expecting a bit of a shock. And who was it we played in the cup? We're away. Was it Morton or Queen's Park? Something like that. I can't remember. Queen of the South. Ayr
last season.
Aye, Ayr, that's it. I kind of was in that sort of general direction. I was like, where the fuck was it again? Where they definitely expected, because we were going through that bad spell at the time, and they thought it was going to be a shock. And Gray referenced it in his post-match interview. He said the Cannons are here for a reason, and it's the same on Saturday. So I don't think there's any chance of the players going out under any sort of illusions that it's going to be a walkover and they can just turn up. What's the score going to be, Chris?
I think we'll win 4-0.
4-0, all right. Jack, what's the score going to be?
4-0 Hibs.
Right, so that's 2 for 4-0. Joe?
4-1.
Right, 4-1. Ian?
It's going to be the same score as the first time I saw Hibs played on Fairland at East End Park in 1966 when we were there for the September weekend at Petticoat. It's going to be 6-5 to Hibs.
Yeah, and Jeff?
3-0. And East End Park is natural grass. It's undergone significant refurbishment recently.
There you go. Google just you can't trust AIs like
you can't trust Google.
As good as AI is these days, see the amount of stuff it gets wrong. Like I would never take it into bat for me in an argument. Put it that way. Right, thank you everybody for commenting on YouTube, and thanks obviously to our famous 5 who have turned up on the call tonight as well. It's been great fun. We will be back with the preview show on Friday. Look ahead to that game. That'll be Colin and John and myself. Then, of course, on Sunday, our usual slot, 8 o'clock, we will have our usual weekly episode to talk about what happened on Saturday. So